Paragraph 4. Many people use harmful substances such as drugs and alcohol because they want to feel good. Certain drugs give people the ability to have increased energy, and they tend to feel a sense of relaxation and satisfaction. When people first start consuming drugs or alcohol, they seem to believe that it has a positive effect on them. In the long run, people start having to use harmful substances just to feel normal. No one can really determine if a person will become addicted to drugs or alcohol. There are many risks and protective factors that play a role in whether a person may become addicted, but it doesn't automatically determine if they will become addicted. For example, a risk factor would be someone living in poverty. A protective factor would be that a person has good self-control. A person is likely to become addicted to drugs and alcohol because of their environmental factors. If a person grows up around drugs and alcohol, they may become prone to it and use it in the future. They usually end up being addicted to substance because of where they are from and who they are around. There are also many biological factors that can affect a person's risk of addiction as well. Biological factors that can affect a person's risk of addiction includes their genes, stage of development, and gender or ethnicity. Scientists estimate that genes, including the effects of environmental factors, have on a person's genes expression called epigenetics, account for between 40 and 60% of a person's risk of addiction. Also, teens and people with mental disorders are at greater risk of drugs and addiction than others, which is also in an article called Drug Misuse and Addiction. All right, I want to talk about the human brain. Inside of the human brain, it produces something called dopamine, which is one of the brain's neurotransmitters. A neurotransmitter is a chemical in the brain that carries information between neurons. The human brain naturally produces a dopamine, a neurotransmitter. Whenever a person performs an action that is associated with survival or breeding, such actions like eating and having sex also gives humans a sense of pleasures, a kind of involuntary side effect to encourage to keep doing things that keep us alive and keep the species going. That is quoted in Why Addiction is Considered a Disease. Treatment Center. The same goes for when people chooses to do drugs and alcohol. People start to see drugs and alcohol as a survival or breeding, which later turns into addictions. When a substance starts to take over your mind, how can you call it a choice? It is obvious that it is a choice to start doing drugs and alcohol. When a person decides to try drugs or alcohol, that is solely their decision. But every day that we wake up, our brain tells us what to do, and so does that disease known as addiction. A chronic disease is a long-lasting condition that can be controlled but not cured. About 20 to 50% of people with a substance use problem appear to have a severe chronic disorder. For them, addiction is a progressive, relapsing disease that requires intensive treatments and continuing aftercare, monitoring, and family or peer support to manage their recovery. People lose their life daily to addiction. It's not all about willpower. Addiction is categorized by the inability to stop. People need to understand that it can be very hard for a person just to stop the habit. We can easily stop eating at a certain place or stop eating junk food. That's easy. But when a person is consuming drugs or alcohol, there's a different route that should be taken. Today, I want everyone to take the time out to listen to what I've been saying. I hope that my speech today has changed your views on addiction. Addiction is a disease that should not be taken lightly but handled by a medical professional. I want to thank everyone for taking the time out to join me today. Please enjoy the rest of your day and take home the advice that I have spoke. Thank you. Not yet. It's my audience.